All right, then it's time for our relationship conversation. And we welcome back the amazing Didi Edet. Now, she is Matchmaker Didi online, and she has at least 7 years experience working as a certified award-winning dating coach in Nigeria. And yeah, she got a matchmaking certification from the United States. So she is the perfect person to talk about dating in the Japa era. So does this actually work, or is this just a delayed breakup? It's great to have you back on Wake Up Nigeria.
Glad to be here.
All right, so the Japa era, let's break down what the Japa era actually means.
Exactly.
For those that don't understand.
Yeah, okay, so Japa is the mass migration, right, of Nigerians for academic, social, other opportunities.
Yeah.
So, so wondering if relationships can be sustained over distance.
Long distance. So the long distance relationship for me is Ikorodu to VI. That's long distance for me, to be honest. And I'm like, okay, man, this is not working. But there are some, I find them inspiring couples who have made it work over time and space.
Yeah.
But when it comes to time zones, for instance,
exactly,
you're talking Canada, US, and you're here, and the person you love or the person you're in a relationship with is asleep, essentially, when you're awake.
Exactly.
How do you make it work? So what sort of advice do you give your clients in this situation?
Well, most of my clients are single, coming to date, so it's a bit easier because they would come up front with the idea of like, I mean, the romantic question, where is this going, has changed to, are you going somewhere? Because they want to know ahead of time if you have plans to move.
Sure.
But then the ones in actual relationships that do move and then have to sustain that relationship, there's a lot of pressure. Like you said, time zone.
Yeah.
You now have to have like Zoom calls and, WhatsApp video. I mean, it's a lot of pressure in relationships. You can't spontaneously just go over to the person and hang out.
Yeah.
Everything has to be pre-planned.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. Not a lot of relationships survive that.
So now the average relationship that hasn't got long distance involved, there is a need for companionship, physical companionship,
Exactly,
emotional companionship, even sometimes just even intellectual inspiration. You want your partner to sort of bounce off you with ideas, etc., etc.
Exactly.
So it does feel like the distance takes away a lot from the relationship.
It does, because like you said, you come back from work, you want to talk to your partner about how your day went, but then they're in a different time zone. It's bedtime for them. Who do you talk to? It does take a lot. So people that are able to maintain that level of, the relationship, I don't know. I really give them kudos because it's really hard.
I'm thinking about the issue of it being a delayed breakup. Why is this? Why exactly does it? I won't say have to lead to that. What are all the indicators leading to that?
Oh, well, to be honest, it might be easier for couples that have been together longer. But if it's a new relationship, it's going to be really hard to bit of the pressure because you haven't had that much pressure in your relationship yet. Yeah. So having to do the different time zone, at a point in time, is going to be tiring. I mean, your birthday, they can't even bring a cake and surprise you anymore.
They can do it online. They can order one online. They can.
When you
they
call
deliver to the office.
When you call to say thank you, the person might be asleep. Time zone. It's not the same. So it might eventually lead to a breakup, if it's not a strong relationship.
I kind of feel like you've had an experience with a long distance relationship from the way you're making it seem, you're making it sound. Because I feel like there is a lot of determination with young couples now, especially since one partner going abroad is sort of financially securing the other partner.
Well, if finances is the main issue, then maybe. Because my experience with long distance relationship, was just mostly the person being far from me. So we would see maybe once every 3 months. Slowly over time, the distance gets further. Okay. Even if it's the same distance, but it gets further because you hardly talk. Person is traveling, so time difference. At some point, You don't even know when it just breaks down. It just goes.
I'm rooting for the intentional couples right now, and I'm hoping that Didi can give us some tips. And I'm not saying us, I'm not in the long distance. I mean, give some tips to those couples who are probably going through this right now. What are their options? What can they do to be a little more intentional about keeping the relationship alive? And then at what point, right, do they, if it isn't working, call it quits?
Yeah, right. I'm not even sure you know the point where you call it quits, because if not, I would have known in mine, right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you know the point, but there has to be, like you said, intentional efforts. So like the video calls, maybe keeping a schedule, like, okay, do you know what, every time at this particular time we speak, you know, we can't break that. We have to talk at this time. Then making just really intentional efforts to just make sure that you keep in touch, maybe about certain events, birthdays, all those things would just definitely, you know, force you to.
So obviously there is an elephant in the room, or in that space, intimacy. So how do couples in long distance relationships begin to establish intimacy over distance? What are the options?
Well, hopefully finances is not an issue. Like with Bernard Boy and Chloe, and with their quote-unquote relationship, if you can fly in regularly to see the person and still go back for work, then it works out for you.
This is a financial matter.
If finance is not the issue, then yeah, regular, you know, flying in and out. And, yeah, that would help, definitely.
So you're not for the whole video calls?
I mean, that's an option. I don't know how many people it works for, but that's an option that could be. Yeah, but I don't think it can compare to the
actual
physical
interaction.
Yeah,
of course, always. But I've you know, noted over time that, you know, as the Japa era is, you know, there is that hope that because of technology bringing us closer, it's not as long. This distance is just, it's
mindset now at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's a mindset. Because I feel like there are some couples that are in the same state, in fact, in the same compound, same house.
Long distance, right?
And they're in long distance relationships. They hardly see each other. Why?
Yeah, actually,
because there's the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And they get home and they're exhausted.
Exactly.
They fall asleep. They wake up in the morning. They're out again at 5 a.m. So in the end,
there's really no time to really talk.
Exactly.
In fact, long distance partners might have even more time to talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're on the phone a lot more.
Intimacy is even worse then, because you're both tired. So
yeah,
when is the time for intimacy?
So that's what I'm saying. It's like
that makes it worse, because it's almost like you're together physically, but now someone's going to try and blame somebody for not being intimate.
Yeah.
When both of you are, like you said, tired, coming from 9 to 5, then you've gone through traffic.
Yeah.
Got to home at what time?
Exactly.
You have to wake up the next morning. I mean, something has to suffer.
The conversations that happen with couples that are trying to maintain a long distance relationship, and the conversations that happen with couples that are right there in the house together.
Sure.
Those conversations in the house together or in a closer space are usually about bills, about struggles, about how terrible my boss was to me, or whatever. But those long distance conversations
are still the same.
They're a lot deeper, don't you think? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it that way, those long distance might even have a better chance than the ones within the same, you know, because it's almost like we're in the same space, but why is this not working?
Yeah.
Why are we not seeing each other? There's no excuse.
And then you find out that, okay, maybe that relationship wasn't actually meant to be.
Yeah.
What sort of conversations do you have with clients who want to date someone that is abroad?
Oh, well, one person usually tries to relocate, to be honest.
Okay.
Like most of our recent couples, one person did relocate.
Okay.
Nobody really stayed in their separate locations. So
it was intentional.
Yeah.
Just relocate and move with his partner.
Even though I don't think that was their initial plan, but eventually I think they both just discussed and then thinking, oh, for this to work. Because in a relationship, you talk about stuff like, do you know what, whose job is better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who should move where? Even if one person has to move to Abuja, one is in Lagos. You discuss for what's better for both of you.
Sure.
And then, you know, make that decision. So, yeah.
So with the question of, is it a delayed breakup? it doesn't actually have to be a delayed breakup. It's just going to be a lot more work. Yeah. Honestly. Now, Matchmaker Didi is someone that when we have a conversation with her, we know that she's had exposure to so many different types of people with different types of mindsets.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because this was something I read online. I don't know if it was true or not. I read about a particular lady that said she was looking for a guy that doesn't need to see her more than once or twice a month.
Makes sense.
How have you ever heard that kind of thing?
Oh, yes.
She does
like they're working
Wow.
like too much. Like you literally have to leave home at 5 a.m. And she doesn't get home till like really late 10. So someone that expects to see her a lot, it wouldn't work.
Wow.
It wouldn't work.
There are actually people like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole Grey's Anatomy, when you see people work shifts back to back,
Yeah.
that's some people's reality. So,
Wow.
you know, they're like,
Wow.
when you're coming, come with this notion.
That's
Otherwise, it won't work.
Wow.
Because otherwise, you start complaining, I don't see you all the time. We don't talk. You know, so come with the notion that you wouldn't really see me a lot. You know,
I really don't think I could do your job, to be honest. Matchmaking human beings. Probably matchmaking puppies would be easier. But I have to say, it is a conversation that's ongoing. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Long distance, is it just a delayed breakup? Use our hashtag WakeUpNigeria on TVC. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a break coming your way and so much more on Wake Up Nigeria.